Hello, AI curious folk. Welcome back to AI Ramblings, episode 70. I'm Michael Parekh, your human AI guide. And we have a special topic to discuss today because of a number of things that have happened. Let me provide a little bit more background on today's theme. The theme today is the race for consumer AI agents. Now, AI agents, I've been talking a lot about them on both AI Reset to Zero, the Substack, and also the daily podcast, AI Ramblings. But most of the AI agent conversation that I've happened to talk about in earnest and the success that Anthropic in particular and OpenAI are seeing are with developers and enterprise customers. So much so that in the last 6 months alone, you've seen Anthropic go from Pepsi to Coke, actually running up ahead in a revenue run rate ahead of its IPO toward the end of the year versus OpenAI. They're apparently running at an ARR, annualized revenue run rate, of over $30+ billion. OpenAI is not far behind, and both of them are running very, very fast. The reason is AI agents have become the next big thing after ChatGPT, which is now in its fourth year. ChatGPT was launched by OpenAI almost accidentally November 30th in 2022. So it's in its fourth year. And it's now got over 900 million users just for OpenAI alone, ChatGPT, both free and some paid, as trying this service on a regular basis. AI agents saw its claim to popularity mostly amongst developers, tens of millions of developers. You saw that happen with OpenAI's Claude Code, and then CoWork, which is built on top of that, which is a productivity layer that's built for the rest of us. I've talked a lot about this on this podcast in terms of my experience and also on my Substack. I'll have links on all of the write-ups in the show notes. But the core thing I wanted to talk about today is that the success, the product market fit that the AI agents have seen on the developer and on the enterprise side are a far cry from the potential product market fit on the consumer side of the equation. And the reason that's important is everyone from OpenAI to Google to Meta, xAI from Elon are all poised to now aggressively pursue the AI agent opportunity with consumers, with billions of users. And there is a very apples and oranges difference here, which I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about today before I go into the specific events that I usually do to give you the broader context of what's going on here. One thing I just want to just bring a very core point, underline it, is that the internet as we know it, and I have been involved from the mid-90s when at Goldman Sachs, I founded the Goldman Sachs Internet Research effort, and we brought dozens of the leading internet companies public, everyone from Yahoo to eBay, the Amazons, Netscapes, a lot of these companies that are now kind of in the rearview mirror. But the internet that we've had over 35 years of this is mostly a reactive surface. If you think about it, Google, Amazon, they only do things for you when you type your query, your question. I'm looking for blue shirt. I'm looking for answers on this kind of medicine. And that is what Google did for us. And when ChatGPT came along, OpenAI was able to leverage that core user habit that billions had already learned, typing in things. And instead of getting a few words and answers, now we were getting a few sentences. That seduced over 900 million users to use ChatGPT, both on the free and paid tier, and obviously a lot of the other services that are available from Grok at xAI, at Elon's company, with Meta AI, from Mark Zuckerberg's company, and so on. But the still expanded search in a kind of a basic way. If you think about AI agents, these things are basically set up to basically do things for you once you tell them very systematically that these are the kinds of things you like to do every day, and this is the schedule that you want to do it, etc. And these systems have to then basically start to do them for you. And the early AI agents that have become successful have a sheen of proactivity, but it's not real. Even OpenClaw, which is the big open source system for AI agents that become humongously popular just in the last 5 months, and now it's owned by OpenAI, which has the perception of basically running everything on your computer for you, sometimes safely, sometimes not, but it is still essentially software running on a loop. You set up specific things you want to schedule and say, I'd like you to do this every day. And that schedule then runs on a timer, almost like a kitchen timer. And these loops and routines are what's being productized by the Anthropics, by the OpenAIs for developers and enterprise users who are used to using these kinds of tools in their regular deterministic software systems for decades. Now we're applying the probabilistic elements of AI, large language and small language models, to that same work surface. And the reason all of this is important is regular people don't do things this way. They've seldom used computers this way, except when you're setting up spreadsheets on macros and things like that. So it's a very, very different world. And I highlight it because billions are going to be spent by the big companies. And I'm going to talk about some of them today on making AI agents work for consumers. And this is a very different game. I'll give you 3 examples in the news today that kind of tie all this aspect of this theme together. Number one, Google has a new product out called Remy, R-E-M-Y, and I'll have, again, the details on this in the show notes. It's Google's answer to OpenAI's OpenClaw for AI agents for consumers. And it's basically will be integrated into Gemini Assistant. It will start to read a lot of the data that consumers have in Gmail and Docs, etc., and provide AI agent type of services. And again, Google has an advantage here. My take here is that if anyone can make AI agents work for consumers, it's Google over everybody else. Why? Because they have the broadest and deepest surface with consumers on the internet, obviously, all the Google search stuff, all the Gmail stuff, the YouTube, all of these places where consumers have billions of daily habits that are built in, where AI agents can be organized, but they have a lot of work to do, meaning Google does, to rebuild the software and then teach people what these things are. And that takes time. And I am excited about it, but it is something that I wanted to underline and delineate very clearly. Number 2, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, he's always very eager to see the next big thing that's coming and jumps on it. And he did so the year today as well. He already tried to buy for over $2 to $3 billion the leading AI agent company out of China called Manus, which China's government just unraveled because of the geopolitical kerfuffles that are going on between the US and China. And I've written a lot about that as well. So Meta now has to have its own AI agent strategy. And one of the things that Zuckerberg is trying to do is he's just introducing a product called Hatch, which is an internal AI agent effort that will presumably be unleashed on Instagram, on Facebook, etc., and that will provide some basic AI agent. One of the things they talk about is shopping related services. Amazon is trying something similar as well with Rufus and other things with AI agents to help you shop. So that's another consumer facing entity that is also going to try some of this. So we're going to hear AI agents from all of these players. And Elon himself tweeted about basically adapting Grok, which is his AI service, large language model, that is being made available through xAI, to have swarms of multiple AI agents. Now, for him, the issue is that he does not have a consumer surface. He has X, which is formerly Twitter, which has hundreds of millions of users, but they're mostly office workers and personalities around the world, and not necessarily mainstream consumers. He has another distribution challenge there. He's already got a big deal with Cursor, which is an enterprise AI agents software company for developers worth $60 billion that he could buy with SpaceX down the road in a year. I've written a lot about this. So he also has a big amount of focus on this area and intentions here. So consumer AI agents is a big area, and I wanted to highlight these efforts by these companies. I'll have a lot more to talk about, but I wanted to give you the high level issue here, which is that this is very much a different game than the AI agents being deployed for developers and enterprises. The other thing on a personal note, I just want to highlight, I've been thinking and working around AI agents for decades. At Goldman Sachs in the mid 90s, I helped bring General Magic, which was probably the AI agent company before AI agents were cool, as they say. And it was a valiant effort to bring AI agents. They had some of the best technology people from Apple in those days. Many of those people went on to do amazing things. Actually, one of them ended up building Android as we know it today, and so on. So, a lot of these things, technology is a world where there are no new ideas. It's just ideas that are redone when the underlying ecosystems and hardware and software gets more capable. And that's what we have today. We had couple 100 million users of the whole thing called the internet in the 90s. Now we have over 5 billion, bigger surface, both on the enterprise and the consumer side, because we're in the mainframe phase of AI, as I call it. A lot of the money today is on the enterprise side. So that's why you're seeing Anthropic particularly get to $1 trillion or more in private market valuation. OpenAI not far behind. NVIDIA is already over 5 billion providing the GPUs to the world for this, 80-90% of the GPUs. All the memory companies, chip companies are worth hundreds of millions, billions, if not billions or more. Samsung just crossed $1 trillion in valuation out of Asia, becoming the second $1 trillion company in Asia after TSMC. And then you've got all of the massive investments in AI capex for compute, as I've talked about, which again is needed to do these AI agent things, whether they're the enterprise or the consumer side of the equation. So that's why all this is important. That's why the framing of the theme today, AI agents for consumers. In the AI gadget section today, I want to highlight a little bit more on the core daily difference in consumer AI agents. I've already touched on a little bit of this. There are a couple of links of other people who've written about this, like Nate Jones, that I think are interesting that you should look at, plus some of my writings on the issue of using AI agents on a daily basis. And I highlight this as interesting reading because we're going to see a lot of this being evidenced in terms of the AI devices that are coming out. Today, I had a big post on AI Reset to Zero, post number 1077, where I talk about OpenAI's ambitions to introduce an AI smartphone. This will be if it's real, it would be the third independent smartphone platform after Apple and Android from Google with their own operating system. It's a huge endeavor. If it's real, the reports are indicating that we may see this thing out in 2027. And if it's real, it's going to be a huge multi-billion-dollar investment by OpenAI. But to make that phone really differentiated with the core integration of hardware and software, it's about integrating AI agents way above and beyond AI for search. So I just highlight all of this because these bets are going to be massive. The AI compute that's being built need AI agents to be used not just by businesses, but by consumers. And so the race is on. So I wanted to highlight that as my Gadget AI topic for today. And then in terms of questions, just continuing the theme about AI agents, one question I wanted to highlight among some of the listeners and readers is what is the number one issue that I see for AI agents for regular users, mainstream users? Number one I would highlight is what I call the cold start problem. It is basically, unlike business users, the core question that every user is going to be need to answer once they are offered AI agents is like, why do I need this? What does it do? What can it do? How much effort is going to, and time and effort is going to take? When do I see the results? All of these are core questions, and there's a lot of detail I'll have in the notes on this. But these are fundamental questions that have to be answered. And today, as an early adopter user of these products, as I've talked about and I've written about them, these are hard questions to answer where even I have to scratch my head every morning and say, okay, I've got Google Ultra Gemini here. I've got Perplexity's computer at another $200 a month. I've got the equivalent top tier service from Anthropic and from OpenAI. How do I do all of this stuff over there? And then how do I manage all this? So I become a daily manager of agents, which is not a thing that most people really want to do. Number two is The question was, what is my number two issue with AI agents, and here it gets into this management business. It's the cognitive load of managing all these agents. You become a manager of the software. This is good for half the population that is generally good at organized. If you're a person who likes to organize your day, a planner, and do everything, go work out at the right time, go eat well, this stuff, AI agents, is going to be a lot easier for you to ramp up on the consumer side, X the stuff in the office. But for rest of us, the regular people who really want to live our lives and just have stuff shown to us, why do we doom scroll? Because we don't have to do anything. We just doom scroll on Instagram and on TikTok, and it's worked to the point of being worth tens of billions of dollars to Meta and other companies. And AI agents are not quite there. So I just wanted to highlight this issue for today's theme. I hope you find it interesting and thought-provoking, because that's really what I'm trying to do here on AI Ramblings and on AI Reset to Zero. Also, do take a look at my post on the OpenAI smartphone. I talk a lot about the pros and cons of that and some of the real-world issues, both things that are in favor for OpenAI and some of the things that they've got a very steep climb up Mount Everest against Google and Apple on the smartphone side. So hopefully you find that of interest as well. Anyway, thank you for joining us today. We welcome your feedback and questions as usual, and we'll see you again tomorrow for AI Rambling 71 and AI Reset to Zero 1079. Stay tuned.